can only continue printing dollars as long as the US dollar remains the world's reserve currency. In other words, this is all going to fall apart much sooner than people think. In fact, it's already happening. The first steps are already well underway. It's happening right now, before our very eyes. I can't stress this enough. You need to act now in order to protect your assets, grow your savings in the next few years. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how I'm protecting my own money and what I recommend doing with yours. But first, let me show you exactly what's going on right now. Like I said, most Americans don't believe the US dollar could ever lose its spot as the world's reserve currency. But I'm here to tell you, this process is already well underway. For example, although it went almost completely unreported in the U.S. press, last fall, a group of the world's most powerful countries, including China, Japan, Russia, and France, got together for a secret meeting without the United States being present or even knowing about them. Veteran Middle East reporter Robert Fisk reported on this event in Britain's independent newspaper. In the most profound financial change in recent Middle East history, Gulf Arabs are planning, along with China, Russia, Japan, and France, to end dollar dealings for oil, moving instead to a basket of currencies, including the Japanese yen, Chinese yuan, the euro, gold, and a new unified currency planned for the nations in the Gulf Cooperation Council, including Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, and Qatar. Fisk also interviewed a Chinese banker who said this.
Find one of these stars in a nebula like Andromeda.
These plans will change the face of international financial transactions. America and Britain must be very worried. You will know how worried by the thunder of denials this news will generate.
And sure enough, after Fisk published the details of this secret meeting, U.S. officials and central bankers from around the globe denied these plans. But as the old central banking adage goes, how do you know exactly when a currency will be devalued? The answer, right after the head of the central bank goes on television to adamantly deny any such transaction will occur. Guess who just went public in recent weeks with a statement about how the U.S. will not devalue its currency? You guessed it, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner. You see, the last thing a central banker wants to do in the midst of a devaluation is give people a warning before he can devalue. So they have to deny. After the announcement is made, it's too late for citizens and investors to get out. Like I said, what's incredible is that this story of a secret meeting among most of the major powers besides the U.S. was greatly underreported in the American press. But you know what? The way I see it, it's much more telling to look at actions rather than government press releases. For example, here is what is happening right now in the real world. When you read these facts, I think you'll agree with me that the U.S. dollar's days are numbered as far as remaining the world's reserve currency. China is getting out of the dollar. Zhuang Sui, former vice chairman of the Standing Committee, said that China is going to stop putting so much money into U.S. dollars and will instead look to the Japanese yen and the euro. China holds more U.S. dollars than anyone else on the planet, but China is getting out of U.S. dollars as fast as they can without crashing their own economy. Look at this chart. It shows that China's holdings of U.S. dollars peaked in 2009, but China is unloading as many dollars as they can as quickly as possible. This is just one sign of the end of the U.S. dollar standard. There are many more, like this one. As I'm sure you are aware, for years the U.S. dollar has been accepted almost universally around the globe. Heck, many times when I've traveled, I never even bothered to convert to the local currency because I knew everyone would take my dollars. Well, that's simply not the case anymore. HSBC, one of the largest banks in Mexico, no longer allows you to deposit U.S. dollars into their banks. They've done this on the heels of money laundering allegations, but we suspect they also simply don't want to be stuck with tons of U.S. dollars as the currency continues to decline. This move would have been unimaginable 10 years ago, that a big bank in Mexico would no longer accept U.S. dollars for deposit, but today it's the harsh reality. Mexico is not the only place this is occurring.
Just like that.
Reuters reports that the same thing has happened in 2008 in one of Europe's most popular tourist spots. Currency exchange outlets in Amsterdam have been reportedly turning away customers who want to exchange their US dollars for euros. As one traveling American tourist, Mary Kelly from Indianapolis, Indiana, told the Reuters news agency while standing in front of the Anne Frank House.
Our dollar is worth maybe zero over here. It's hard to find a place to exchange. We have to go downtown to the central station or post office.
In India, the country's tourism minister said in 2008 the US dollars will no longer be accepted at the country's heritage tourist sites like the Taj Mahal, and the US dollar is no longer good anywhere in Cuba. The New York Times reports that now many shops in China no longer accept dollar-based credit cards issued by foreign banks, and foreigners cannot convert American dollars into renminbi beyond a given quota. Iran, of course, has already moved all of its reserves out of US dollars, and Kuwait depegged its currency from the dollar a few years ago. Bloomberg News recently reported that China and Russia plan to start trading in each other's currencies to diminish the dollar's role in global trade. Banu Bawaja of UBS Bank said, given the risk to the dollar and U.S. assets from their fiscal position, they want to reduce their dependency on the dollar as an invoicing currency. It's even happening here in the USA. Most Americans don't know that some states in the Midwest are already using alternative currencies. An NBC News affiliate in Michigan reports that new types of money are popping up across mid-Michigan, and supporters say it's not counterfeit, but rather a competing currency. Right now, for example, you can buy a meal or visit a chiropractor without using actual U.S. legal tender. But most Americans don't realize is that this is all totally legal. The U.S. Treasury Department website says that, according to the Coinage Act of 1965, there is no federal statute mandating that a private business, a person, or an organization must accept currency or coins for payment for goods and or services. I saw one report that says there are now 150 of these alternative local U.S. currencies being accepted around the country. USA Today reports that the largest of these local currencies is a currency called Berkshires, which are being used in the Berkshire region of western Massachusetts. According to the paper, since its start in 2006, the system, the largest of its kind in the country, has circulated $2.3 million worth of Berkshires. And even in places that do not yet have local currencies, store owners may now actually prefer foreign currencies rather than US dollars. Washington, D.C., just 25 miles from my office, some stores have begun accepting euros. Of course, the euro isn't much more stable than the dollar right now. But my point is that most people don't understand that there is no federal requirement in the United States for private stores to accept dollars for non-debt transactions. You see, no matter what the government decides, stores and businesses will accept whatever they believe is a strong currency. As Texas Representative Ron Paul wrote recently, if you walk into a 7-Eleven to buy a soda, the clerk doesn't have to accept your dollars. He could demand euros, silver, or copper. But because legal tender laws backing the dollar have caused the dollar to drive other currencies out of circulation, right now it's easier for stores to accept dollars. Well, all that is quickly changing. Many places in Texas now accept Mexican pesos for payment. Euros accepted signs, like this one, are popping up in, of all places, Manhattan. And not only Manhattan, but in New York's favorite summer playground, the Hamptons. There, an art gallery assistant was quoted by The Real Deal. I wouldn't want to discourage a sale in any way because of a currency issue. It's not just small stores that are accepting other methods of payment besides US dollars. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the world's largest futures and commodities exchange, now accepts gold to sell futures contracts. Until recently, the exchange typically only accepted U.S. Treasuries and bonds as payment. These guys obviously see the writing on the wall. This would have been unthinkable 10 years ago, but today it's a reality. And this trend is going to keep moving incredibly fast. That's why smartest investors are taking action. Bill Gross, who probably knows as much about currencies as bet as anyone in the world, runs the world's biggest bond fund. He was quoted by Bloomberg. We've told all of our clients, that if you only had one idea, one investment, it would be to buy an investment in a non-dollar currency. That should be on top of the list. Jim Rogers, one of the world's most successful multimillionaire investors,
commodity traders.
the dollar is not just in decline, it's a mess. If something isn't done soon, I believe the dollar could lose its status as the world's reserve currency and medium of exchange, something that would lead to a huge decline in standard of living for U.S. citizens, like nothing we've seen in nearly a century. I know, you probably still don't believe it can happen here in the United States, but think about it. Are we as Americans really immune to the laws of economics and finance? I don't think so. And every circumstance I know of in which a government has tried to inflate its debts away has ended in disaster. It will happen here too. As Jim Rogers says, history teaches us that such imprudent monetary and fiscal behavior has always led to economic disaster. This is why World Bank President Robert Zoellick, in a speech at the School for Advanced International Studies at Johns Hopkins University, recently said the United States would be mistaken to take for granted the dollar's place as the world's predominant reserve currency. Looking forward, there will increasingly be other options to the dollar, and this is why the International Monetary Fund recently published a paper calling for a new global world currency. A paper entitled Reserve Accumulation and International Monetary Stability, written by the Strategy, Policy, and Review Department of the IMF, recommends that the world adopt a global currency called the Bancorp, with a global central bank to administer the currency. The report is dated April 13, 2010. And no, unfortunately, this is not just a bad rumor. This is a deadly, serious proposal and an official document from one of the most powerful institutions in the world. Do you see where this is all headed? As Brazilian economist and strategist Ricardo Amaral wrote recently, the U.S. dollar served its purpose since the end of World War II and became a major foreign exchange reserve currency. But the days of the U.S. dollar playing that special role has reached the end of the line, since today that system is very sick and is dying a slow death. Mr. Amaral added that we will soon see the major collapse of the U.S. dollar create the biggest international monetary crisis the world has ever seen. This is why gold and silver prices are soaring. It's not a matter of if the U.S. dollar will lose its status as the world's reserve currency. It's simply a matter of when. Investors know there are serious problems with the U.S. dollar, so they are fleeing to precious metals, which have historically been very reliable when a country has major currency problems. It's not hard to see why people are no longer accepting U.S. dollars, why many foreign countries are pushing for a new world reserve currency. The good news is, no matter what happens, I found several ways for you to protect your savings. And you could potentially even make 3 to 5 times your money over the next few years. I'll show you exactly what to do in a moment. But first, let me explain why the collapse of the dollar as the world's reserve currency could happen much sooner than most people expect. I know many of my friends, colleagues, and family members are still in serious denial. In the world of psychology, they call this the normalcy bias. You see, the normalcy bias actually refers to our natural reactions when facing a crisis. The normalcy bias causes smart people to underestimate the possibility of a disaster and its effects. In short, people believe that since something has never happened before, it never will. We are all guilty of it. It's just human nature. The normalcy bias also makes people unable to deal with a disaster once it has occurred. Basically, people have a really hard time preparing for, dealing with something they have never experienced. The normalcy bias often results in unnecessary deaths in disaster situations. For example, think about the Jewish populations of World War II. As Barton Biggs reports in his book, Wealth, War, and Wisdom, by the end of 1935, 100,000 Jews had left Germany, but 450,000 still remained. Wealthy Jewish families kept thinking and hoping that the worst was over. Many of the German Jews, brilliant, cultured, and cosmopolitan as they were too complacent. They had been in Germany so long and were so well established that they simply couldn't believe there was going to be a crisis that would endanger them. They were too comfortable. They believed that Nazis' anti-Semitism was an episodic event, and that Hitler's bark was worse than his bite. They reacted sluggishly to the rise of Hitler for completely understandable but tragically erroneous reasons. Events moved much faster than they could imagine. This is